we are chapter 164 of the Veterans for Peace. And we started in 2011. We've been around that long. And it's made up totally of, it's the North Coast Veterans for Peace. So it's entirely made up of people from the North Coast. So it can go as far as Astoria, and then far south is Lincoln City. Now, most of the people are from the local area that are in this group. We started out with these 10 people, and some of these names may be familiar with you. Do you mind if I read them? One was David Acker, George Backlund. David Acker was in the Marine Corps, George Backlund in the Navy. Matt Christensen, who used to run the rental place up here, was the Army. Doug Firstbrook, I'm sure you know him.
Sure.
He was in the Air Force. Brian Hines, who owned the place down here, he was in the British Army during the Egyptian War. Stephen Malachek was in the Army. Chuck McLaughlin was also one of the initial members. He was in the Naval Air. Myself, George Reddish, Army, Pat Temple, Army, and Richard Spear was in the Air Force. So those are the original members. And anyway, so we formed the chapter back in 2011. And we had to send these 10 veterans, we had to send in their DDT forms, and then they became part of Veterans for Peace. And then we were allowed to form our chapter. Now we meet the second Thursday of every month. We're going to be meeting at the library in Manzanita, and we sit around, discuss things. I'm making up an agenda. I'm pretty much the leader, I guess. And Veterans for Peace is a national organization made up of all kinds of chapters from all over. There's one in Corvallis, there's one in Portland, and I can read the mission statement here, and this explains better what we are all about. So and another thing is, you do not have to be a veteran to be a member of Veterans for Peace. You can join as an auxiliary member. My wife is an auxiliary member, and the cost, I think, is like $40 for a year. But anyway, so here is our mission statement. We, as military veterans, do hereby affirm our greater responsibility to serve the cause of world peace. To this end, we will work with others, both nationally and internationally, to 1, increase public awareness of the causes and costs of war. 2, to restrain our government from intervening overtly and covertly in the internal affairs of other nations. 3, to resist racism and repression in our home communities. 4, to oppose the militarization of law enforcement. 5, to end the arms race and to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons. 6, to seek justice for veterans and victims of war. 7, to abolish war as an instrument of national policy. To achieve these goals, members of Veterans for Peace pledge to use nonviolent means and to maintain an organization that is both democratic and open, with the understanding that all members are trusted to act in the best interest of the group for the larger purpose of world peace. Okay, now that I said that, if anybody out there wants to learn more about Veterans for Peace, the easiest way to do it is to go to veteransforpeace.org. There was a call out for, and I think that was March 13th, or I forget what day it was. But anyway, there's a call out for all veterans to march on the nation's capital. And if you couldn't make it to that march, then you could go to the capital of your state. So it was real short notice. I found out actually from one of my Vets for Peace people. Her name is Seal Downing. She's kind of famous throughout the area here for photography. Anyway, she told me that they're having this thing at Salem, and it was like 2 days notice, and I sent it out to all my Vets for Peace, and we had a meeting before the march, and I encouraged all of them to go, and one of the guys that went, I went with a guy and his wife. Phil Ordway is his name, and we went down there. I had the Vets for Peace flag. There were all kinds of people there. There were 500 people. There were about 500 people there, and they were all there for one reason: to stop Trump from cutting veterans' affairs, because they're all, they're on disabilities for the veterans, and he's talking about getting rid of that and everything and make all kinds of new hoops that you have to jump through. And so we joined down there, and we were standing on one street, and then they said, oh, let's move over to this other street because there was more visibility. And we went over there, and I had a Veterans for Peace flag. I was the only veteran for peace that I could see there. And I'm not in any of the national footage that they put out, or statewide footage. But anyway, there were people from all over, young, old, and they were all there for one purpose, and that was, don't screw the veterans.